Bill.
Hello, Mark. This is our second podcast today, actually.
It is.
And I'm looking out the window and it's a nice sunny day.
It's glorious.
Might have to get out there shortly.
Yep. And this is our last one for the year 2025.
Boy, where's that gone?
Well, it's funny, I was thinking about the fact that we were going to do this today, and it made me think back to the end of the world that was meant to happen in the year 2000. Remember the
I know
the
where
Y2K bug and all the other things? And I thought, that was 25 years ago.
25 years ago, and a whole group of us booked out the hotel at Dunkeld. I'll never forget that. At midnight, we stood in the main street there, which is probably the Hamilton Highway, and they let off fireworks. And we woke up the next morning and the computers were still working.
Yep. So it's funny the things that come along in life, and anyway, we're still here and we're still kicking. So let's chat about the year that's gone. We've just come out of the Geelong Business Excellence Awards, which were fantastic. I thought there were some really good businesses amongst
the winners
those.
This year were the best bunch I've seen for a long time.
Kennedy Group winning overall Business of the Year.
Well deserved.
Well deserved. Superb business.
And I also, as you know, did the Colac Business Awards this year.
You did?
Where I interviewed nearly 20 finalists. And I found some gems.
You need another judge with you next year.
Well, somebody sitting near me was asked to do a couple, but
I
think they were nearly on the South Australian border, and you skied away from it. But so look, talking about best business, if we look, we'll go through some categories.
Yep.
We'll talk about them just off the cuff. Best business, yes, I agree. Kennedy's won Best Business of the Year in Geelong. And it's a great story, and we've done a podcast. With Shannon.
Yep.
Now, Shannon and his brother have now run that business. Their father started it in Williamstown, a plumbing business. And, boy, have they moved on and diversified, using the infrastructure they've got, because they're now big in asbestos removal and branching out again into further smaller construction jobs.
Yep, Kennedy built, as they told us.
But they got succession right. They've got a CEO in there. They've got a chief financial officer in there. They're running it as a mini corporate, and the boys understand that they can't run it on their own.
And I had the privilege of being one of the judges when we went out to their business, and the whole team presented.
Yeah,
and very impressive, because you understood very quickly that it's about the team, not an individual running that business. The team are doing it. It was cool. It's very cool.
No, an exemplar business. And if I'm talking down the further west, down the Colac way, there's a company down there called KHR. And KHR had the contracts for maintaining the power lines around Victoria with Powercor. And they had two others. And they just made an interesting decision. We'll pull back from one of those extra ones and we'll just do two, because we know we can do two properly. But if we continue doing three, we will be under-resourced and it'll be a struggle. And Alicia Bergman, who is the CEO, her and her husband run that business. Alicia has a corporate background, and what she understands is governance and compliance. And she's put disciplines and policies and procedures, because they're dealing with public entities, or they're not public, but in a service business on critical utilities. And Alicia is an example of a business owner that understands you've got to have corporate type disciplines and policies and procedures and good governance, but not kill the business at the same time. And we will do a podcast with her in the new year.
So what other businesses stood out, Bill?
Well, sole operators, because most small businesses, and most businesses in Geelong, for instance, are sole operators. And the stats say that there are 22,000 businesses in this region. Well, nearly 90% on what I know of and have heard are small businesses. And then again, most of those are sole operators. So my standout for the year was Elizabeth Bell at Elizabeth Bell Ceramics.
Fantastic business.
Yeah.
And done Elizabeth's done, again, one of the businesses I judged, but Elizabeth, just from following a passion and working in her apartment at one stage and then moving into a garage and now has the premises down at Finesford in the old mill.
Yeah.
And superb business.
And it all started because she was backpacking or in Japan with her partner at that time.
I did a bit of a pottery class.
And walked through a little village and saw a potter and went in and then ended up going to England and got an internship to a famous pottery in Oxford, I think it was.
Yep.
Yeah, just an amazing journey. But there she is running this, and she makes pottery and she teaches classes.
And very focused on being sustainable.
Yeah.
Looking at alternative sources for clay, looking at how she can recycle, like very, very clever business.
That's right, and good luck to her too.
So tell me about the two young women down in Colac with the coffee shop.
Oh, right, in the food business. So there are twin sisters, Isabel and Matilda, who, when they were in year 12, started a coffee shop. And they put together two antique coffee vans and put them inside a little building, and you go and order out of one and you get your coffee made out of the other. But there they are at age 17, starting a business, doing year 12 at the same time, getting up at 5 o'clock, baking cakes because it's called double shot coffee and cakes. And then they'd go off to school and they employed a couple of people to run it during the day, and they probably came home and baked again or cleaned up. Not sure if they did any study, but and here they are now. They've left school and they're running a very successful hospitality business. In fact, on the judging I did down there, they were outstanding and they actually won their segment of the business awards down there.
So
but
we have to go and visit.
We will, but just goes to show you, age has no bearing on success in business.
Yeah, work ethic, obviously, with the two.
That's right. Yeah.
So, talking food, who do you think does the best food and catering around Geelong?
Well, let's say we might be biased.
We
here,
may be
Mark.
biased.
Yeah, however, the Winter Edmonds Award goes to Truffle Duck.
Truffle Duck. And it's interesting because I was catching up with a couple of friends in Melbourne at South Melbourne Market for lunch, and one of them had talked that they'd been to Tarinda Estate for a wedding. And I said, I think Truffle Duck do the food there. And he raved about the food. So far and wide, Bill, they're very good.
Well, Hugh, who owns Truffle Duck and is the entrepreneur that started that many years ago in a little cafe, I think in James Street off Little Mallet Street. They have built this catering and event company, I suppose. And Deb Nash has been the general manager for many years. And if you're going to have a wedding or you're going to have a function,
that's the place.
Truffle Duck is where you go, and you can never criticise any presentation or their food. It's absolutely fantastic business.
And it's interesting, the other food businesses that we've sort of looked at over the Arborist, fantastic business there in Little Mallet Street.
That's right. That's a great
and we've
cafe.
Interviewed
Not
them.
Not a cafe, it's a restaurant, isn't it?
We've interviewed them, so they do a great job.
And just talking about venues, I want to nominate the Celtic Club in Melbourne. And as you know, I've joined the Celtic Club.
You've been there for a few Guinnesses over the years.
That's right. But the Celtic Club has a checkered history in Melbourne. And it's been started in the 1800s, obviously the Irish community. But in recent times, they've had they've had a board change and all sorts of issues. And they took over a hotel which was the Sierra Sands in Brunswick. We'd had a interesting reputation in many years gone by. And I go up there once a month and they have a lunch, and then they go upstairs and their guest speaker, it's a casual chat. But the renovation they've done on that hotel and the quality of the food that they've done is great. In fact, we have interviewed not only one of the board members, Fergal, but their CEO, if you remember Bob.
Yep.
Bob, and it's just a delight to go there. And it's the quality of the service and the quality of the food.
So what other businesses stood out to you over the year?
Well, we could look at tourism, Mark.
Yes.
Yeah, and of course, I guess we're both very impressed with a particular train.
The Q train with Marie Claire and her team down there at Queenscliff.
And they've just won an award again this year.
Another tourism award.
That's right.
They're fantastic. And if you haven't been on the train, highly recommend it. It's 5-star, brilliant meal, great service, and well worth having a
Mary Claire knows
special,
how to run a business. There's no doubt about that.
And very focused, knows what they're about,
That's
got
right.
succession planning in place. Yes, very
And
cool.
I think it might have been a father, was it, or uncle, father-in-law, I forget now, was in Queensland and saw a train for sale.
Bought some carriages.
A whole train. And the next thing you know, he's bought the whole train and they've taken it down to Drysdale and they've bought additional stuff since then. But and they won an all-inclusive award in the awards.
Yep.
But, everybody I know that's been on it has been very impressed.
They've done well. Any other businesses?
I'm going to sneeze, Mark.
Oh, are you? Okay. Well, we can edit that out later. Look, but what strikes me is what is the one or two things that stand out, Bill, with all the businesses that you think makes them successful?
Passion and purpose.
Yep, very good. In my head, it's being brave, which we had
of course.
handed to us many moons ago when we were chatting.
One of our favourite sayings.
Yes,
Yeah.
and they've all had a go. They've all taken a plunge.
And in a lot of it, in a tough time, they've got over COVID. There've been all sorts of issues, there's other categories where there's good businesses. There's family businesses, there's agribusiness, and I'll just mention in agribusiness. Once again, I came across Morris Transport, Peter Morris, down outside Colac.
Yep.
And he transported livestock. And of course, during the drought, his business actually improved because, unfortunately, for farmers, they had to get stock off land and they had to move it elsewhere and all that. But here is Peter started with a one truck operation, and now he's got these they're great big, all I can call them are big trucks, right? But it's the way he looks after his staff. And it's interesting with those trucks, the guys have got to live in them because they go all over the place. And has he looked after his staff, and he's into apprenticeships and all the rest of it, and very impressive. But I went and spoke to his next door neighbour, who was a dairy farmer, and I've got to say that the survivors of the year are every dairy farmer in Australia. They have a tough life, and the dairy farms are going through an interesting transition because you've got to get bigger or get better. You've got to put automatic dairy, robotic dairies in, and they're millions of dollars. So the gentleman I spoke to down next to Morris's Transport, he's got his 250 cows and all the rest of it. But that's a classic case of, in reality, what's the future for a single dairy farmer when it's now a game for the big boys? But I'm pissed off, Mark, about the pricing of milk and the way that the big chains handle it and all the rest of it. But because remember, there's a great saying going around England at the moment, no farmers, no food. And we don't want to end up where that is.
We don't want to end up like
right.
that.
That's right.
So what else has struck you over the...
Well, we're talking about family businesses, and a lot of the big businesses in Geelong, all the award winners, other than GMHBA,
were family
businesses.
Yep.
And although small, some of the smaller ones, but we go back to it's the little people that make up the fabric of life in business. Let's take Amanda at Smelly's Flowers.
Yep.
Right.
Great story.
That's right. And everybody that you talk to about, do you know Smelly's Flowers? Oh, yeah, but, we go. But her flowers are all locally grown. That's the other thing. You go into a service station, you go into Coles or Woolies or wherever it is, those flowers are imported. Now, what Amanda has done at Smelly's Flowers, she's got relationships with local growers and does a lot on native flowers and has built a great reputation. But the other important thing is she knows where she wants to be.
Yep.
She doesn't want to get bigger.
Yep.
She just wants to look after who she's got.
So the other thing that's probably struck us over the year is that business has been tough.
It has been very tough. Yes.
That the business we've mentioned have all knuckled down and made sure that they're looking after their customer, focusing on what they deliver, and being successful at it.
Yep.
There's far too many businesses that are struggling, and hopefully in the new year things might turn around. But
there's still a lot of redundancies, but liquidations. Now, just sort of our friend Alfie. Now, Alfie is from Hanoi, and he's got a very successful business in Breakwater in the middle of the industrial area.
Yep.
And
Cafe Palat,
and he saw that COVID had changed the dynamics, and that businesses are downsizing or putting people off on it. So he made a bold move and went and took a lease on a new premise in Pakenham Street in Geelong West and opened up Cafe Palat 2. And I was talking to him recently. He said his business in the industrial area has dropped right off, and he doesn't know from one day to the next how it's going to go. He can't predict it anymore. But in Pakenham Street, which is in the prime area of Geelong, it's the best shopping part of a shopping strip you could ever come across, he said business is doing well. So it's a case of fish where the fish are, I guess.
Yep.
But if you're going to open, I guess a bit like McDonald's and KFC and all this, they open next to each other. And that's another interesting story, Mark, here in Geelong. The Good Guy store, which is one of the most successful stores in the group, because we know the owner who sold out to JB Hi-Fi, have moved around opposite the Geelong football ground. But the building they've vacated just around the corner is now turning into Harvey Norman.
Yeah. Or a JB Hi-Fi, isn't it? Is JB Hi-Fi? No, or Harvey Norman.
Harvey Norman.
Oh, okay.
JB Hi-Fi is not there. And I asked the guy on Saturday, I said, your competitors moved into your old store. He said, yeah, they own the building.
Oh, it's interesting times. So next year will be interesting because the big tip is that interest rates won't go down, but if they're not careful, could go up. So that'll be interesting because that'll put a bit of a kibosh on the recovery. Yeah,
well, the next year's going to be disjointed because I think everyone's going to be distracted in Victoria by an election.
Yep.
And we don't talk politics on this show, but it will be a distraction.
It will be a big distraction. Yeah. And also what happens with tariffs. It'll be interesting to see. Australia's done all right with getting the beef back.
The big boy in America's backing off.
The old taco experience, as they say.
That's right. And God only knows how his brain works, but we'll never work that out.
No, but we know a few businesses that have been looking at how they export and what that means. And so it's a challenge. It's still a challenge. But like all these businesses that are doing well, they have a clear purpose. They know what they're doing and they adapt, they change.
Well, the thing about the two business awards that we're both involved in is that it's confirmation there's some great businesses out there, and those that get their act together, particularly those that look after their people, and and take care of their people and get their teams involved, they're the ones that are doing really well. Yeah.
And I have to mention Mr. Brands, another family business.
Oh, of course.
Winner of the Retail Award in the Business Excellence Awards. And Cameron and the team there, Cameron knows that his business has to do more and more online, and that's what he's working on. So you've got to evolve, evolve.
Today, Mark, when we're recording this, it's the start of Black Friday, of course, or this weekend. And there's an interesting article in the press today about the transition of online shopping. And Black Friday shopping, no matter what you're doing, has really surpassed any other period of the year. But if you're not online, you're not in it. You're going to miss out.
And it's interesting that a friend of mine runs a pet food business, and his whole method of selling, because to get it online, is through Amazon. And he said they are an unbelievable company to deal with. He gets paid on the dot on the 14th day of the month. He gets hourly updates on what he's selling. So as he said, if I went to Coles or Woolies, I wouldn't know what I sold for at least a month.
Or you will if you pay their exorbitant fees to get hold of their data.
And all their fees.
Yeah.
And he said it is an unbelievable model. And he said the way they're growing, the way they're expanding, he said if you were a business that wants to have an online presence, Amazon is where you go. You pay a fee, you pay pretty high fees, but they deal with everything. And he said he cannot believe how successful it's made his business.
Well, I think, Mark, the other thing about 2026 will be AI still.
Yes.
Right? And our good friend Amir Katoub,
Yep.
who won Business Leader of the Year.
Business Leader of the Year.
And Alex Papley,
Yep.
who's Hypergen, with great knowledge on AI. But, for people like me and for most business owners, AI is a tool that helps you do better things in your business. I don't want to know how it works. I want to know, if I was a business owner, what it can do to help me streamline my business. And I think its strength is going to be in customer service and relationships with customers.
And I see the Bendigo Banks announced a partnership with Google.
Yes.
So they get it. They understand.
That's
so
right. So it'll be a good year.
It'll be a good year. So, Bill, have a good Christmas.
Yes. Thank you, Mark, and you too, and to everybody out there.
Yep. And we'll have a whole heap of people to interview in the new year.
We've got a full book.
We have a full
already
book
for next year.
And let's see what else we can do. So take care and chat to you in 2026.
Thank you, Mark.